Ryan, welcome to Dubai.
Thank you.
I want to just jump in straight away and ask you a bit about your thoughts on where Dubai is currently in terms of the real estate market.
I think today Dubai is a top 10 global real estate investment play. I don't think it was always that way. Dubai obviously has been a global city for 70 years. But today we have buyers in New York City, we have buyers in Los Angeles, Miami, Hong Kong, Paris, London, who think Dubai first in a way they never have before. I think the real estate market that we saw really grow out of COVID has been, in a big way to Dubai's benefit. And I think you've seen that here too.
In terms of your visit here, whilst you're in town, are you always looking at property whilst here as well?
Well, we've been talking a lot about the Palm Jebel Ali, which is really unique for someone like me because we're not used to in the United States just, hey, we want to make a real estate development. Let's just build it in the water, And I think it's been a long time coming, that one. And I think I also am a real estate broker, and I like looking for value. I think if you look at the pricing that you have on Palm Jebel Ali for fully built villas compared to the pricing that you get on Palm Jumeirah or somewhere else, I think it's a great opportunity for people. And someone told me yesterday that every 10 years you get a new Dubai.
Yeah,
you don't get that in other cities.
Yeah, when you come here and you do look at some of the properties and you look at some of the developments, like on Palm Jebel Ali and other places across this city. What's your kind of thought process in terms of some of the developments that are popping up across Dubai? Are you thinking that actually, this area is looking brilliant, this is going to do well, or are you kind of evaluating different areas when you do see them?
I'm relatively novice to the Dubai real estate market, learning kind of the three key districts. I am fully blown away, though, by the level of finish. The style. We were touring through a house yesterday. I think it's asking 100 or 130 million dirham. And there's no painted walls in the house, which in the United States would be crazy.
Yeah.
There's no paint. Everything is stone.
Yeah.
It's either travertine or marble or porcelain. There's no wall.
Yeah.
And the house is 30,000 square feet. And so, there's a level of luxury here and finish and expense that you just don't see anywhere else in the world.
In terms of sustainability in the real estate world here in Dubai, is it sustainable? Because yes, it's booming, and you said previously that it maybe wasn't to the level that it is today, but it's booming. Is it sustainable?
Well, Dubai is pretty small, comparatively speaking. It's relatively small. I think there's a lot of room for growth here. It feels sustainable to me because it's so hot here.
Yeah,
you have to build sustainably. Otherwise you won't be able to live here. I think it's a tricky place to have green space. I asked someone else here, it's like, so where are your parks? And they said, oh, you mean the mall? It's like, no, you have green space or parks? Like, oh, we have 2 malls. Those are our parks. I'm like, oh, okay. And so kind of trying to find, residential areas to be able to live and breathe and to do that sustainably. I think Dubai will figure out faster than anybody.
You're based in New York, you work out of New York, you do most of your business in New York. A better city than Dubai?
Well, I'm biased. Yeah, I can't say I like Dubai more than New York. They won't let me home. New York is a big island and it's spread out and you have multiple boroughs. It's incredibly intellectually curious and it's very domestic. 80% of our clients who buy and sell in New York are New Yorkers. They live there. And so only a small percentage of our deals are either domestic, US, or foreign investment. And when the market is strong, we see more of that. When the market is weak, we see less of it, but then you still have a good stronghold. I love, New York's great. I don't know if I'd be able to have only 2 seasons a year, physically. Dubai has this summer and last summer, and those are your seasons. Yeah. In New York, we have a different season depending on the hour.
Yeah.
It's freezing cold in the morning, it's really hot, and then it's comfortable, and it's hard to dress.
I've got to ask you a bit about ultra-high net worth individuals. Dubai is seeing probably the most arriving here in the whole of the world, and that is growing and growing. When you kind of see that massive movement of people with so much money to a place like this, as a real estate developer, as an agent as well, that must really be exciting?
Well, sure. I mean, we love transactions, right? Salespeople are transactional. No matter where the market is, when the market's up or the market's down, you're creating transactions. I look at the international landscape for property, and where you can have kind of freehold property, kind of fee simple. Where else are you going to go?
Yeah.
Where else are you going to go? You can come to the United States. There's tax, right? You can go to different parts of the world, and there's history of repurposement by governments. Like Dubai, I think, creates a lot of liquidity opportunities for investors and for super high net worth. And because the market is getting bigger and bigger and bigger here, I think there's a safety and appreciation that you can't find anywhere else.
You've had a very successful first series of owning Manhattan, commissioned for a second series as well, and the filming is underway. Just tell us a bit about how that has been for you. Yes, you've been in TV for a long time, but this is your company. This is your organization in the spotlight, doing the work. How's it been?
Crazy. Yeah, I did a show called $1 Million Listing New York for 10 years. This show is on Netflix, though. And I mean, our lives changed the day the show came out. I mean, Netflix is the largest global media distribution network that exists. And with the click of a button, the entirety of the world was made aware of our company if they weren't made aware of it already, and in an entertaining way. And so it's been incredible. The lead flow, I mean, our website broke. I thought we were prepared. We were not prepared. Our entire agent base, our customer base, because I don't develop, right? We're not developers, we're marketers at the end of the day. So the more qualified buyers and sellers that we can create, the better. And there's no better way to do that than through Netflix. So it's a very fortunate opportunity we have.
What was kind of going through your mind when the opportunity came around? Was it like, absolutely, yes, we've got to do it? Or is there a thought process where actually these guys are going to be pretty ingrained in our lives? It goes into a lot of personal things as well. Do you have to really think about that as well? The spotlight is really on you guys.
No, I created the opportunity.
Right.
Once $1 Million Listing ended, because I started Serhant, our company, in 2020 during COVID. And so then I created a reel. We have a production company at our company called Serhant Studios. And so we created a presentation on camera of what a show could be called. And it was called House of Serhant. And we pitched it. I pitched it to Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and all the other companies. And we had 3 offers, and we went with Netflix. So I knew what I was getting into, and all exposure is good exposure.
Yeah.
So the more personal you show, the better, in my opinion. It's something that I'm working with agents here in Dubai to get more comfortable with, because this is a very a relatively conservative culture compared to what I'm used to. In the United States, everyone's dancing all the time. Here, they take their notes. They're calm, they're collected, they're a bit more private. But you have to remember, people aren't coming to us to buy a home. They're coming to us to buy a home with us.
Yeah.
And so what is that us? What's that me? What's that you? What's the brand of you? And Netflix is a big opportunity for me to do that.
And that leads on to my next question in terms of personality when you are trying to sell a home, market a home, and to those people who are also going to be paying a hell of a lot of money to purchase a home, how important is it to be relatable, to have that personality, and also to maybe get your toe near the line and maybe sometimes step over it as well?
Well, your first impression is your last impression if you're not careful. And so using Netflix, which we can, and for everybody else, the power of social media, your first impression is created before you even meet the potential client. And so I get to meet people all day long, buyers, sellers, developers, who already know what I'm like. They've already made a decision that they like me. Let's get to know me. Or any of our other agents that are at our company. And that know, like, and trust factor, that's how you create client awareness, and that's how you create deals.
Look, the rising cost of living has hit the whole world in many instances. When you look at that situation in some of the major cities across the world, yes, it's hit the likes of New York as well, London in particular, and even out here in Dubai. How much of a role does that play in a lot of your decision making when you are kind of targeting particular individuals for certain homes? Has that played an impact on real estate as a whole?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the cost of living is incredibly high compared to what it was just 4 years ago. Inflation has infected everybody. And I think that for us, I point to the governments. I point to local, state-owned, and federal-owned land. Right? You want to fix a housing crisis, provide more opportunity, provide more land. Create tax incentives, create land incentives. That's what you have to do. Yeah. You need to incentivize people to build, and then through tax incentives, you incentivize people to move, right? And so, we work a little bit with governments to try to push that as much as we possibly can. But with the high net worth clients, it's then about inventory. So how do you create markets? What I tell our salespeople all the time is, markets should never dictate your income. They only dictate your strategy. And there's been a lot of strategy pivots over the past couple of years.
So you work closely with governments. We are literally days away from an election in the United States. Trump is pretty much in your backyard in New York. Who's right for the real estate business right across not just the US, but across the globe?
You know what's going to happen? The election's going to happen. And then the next day, everyone's going to get back up. And for the most part, they're going to go back to work. And if they need to move because they just had a baby or they want to make an investment in real estate, it's not going to make a difference whether one side is in office or not. There will be tax policy changes, most likely. And I think we'll just have to see what happens. I think for us, we remain relatively bipartisan because we sell to both sides of the aisle and work with both sides of the aisle.
You are a businessman. You have got this incredibly successful business. When you look at the two candidates, one in some ways aligns more with your kind of business acumen as opposed to the other. Would you not favor towards Trump as a president this time around?
It depends. When he was in office from 2016 to 2020, the real estate market was not great.
Right.
Because you had what they called the Trump bump. And so most people were keeping their money in the stock market. And he was relatively known for New York City, and so it made things in New York a little bit tough. Biden, on the other hand, and Kamala, right, by proxy, has made things incredibly expensive and made affordability incredibly, incredibly difficult. So, but people have put more money in real estate during their term than ever during a Republican term. So it's hard for me to say. Her policies, things that she's touting, like $25,000 down payment gifts and things, are useless and dumb, and I really don't think would ever pass. Right? All it's going to do is increase prices. It doesn't do anything for demand. He's talked about what I've talked about, which is you want to fix a housing crisis, provide more housing. How do you provide more houses? You incentivize developers and construction. What do you incentivize them with? Land. Who has all the land? The government. So it's not that complicated. And if you pass on those incentives to prospective purchasers, whether they're first-time home buyers or veteran homeowners, then I think you do start to solve some type of housing crisis. But it remains to be seen. I don't know.
Sounds like you are edging towards Trump.
No, I'm edging towards whatever keeps the peace. I just want peace, and I want people to buy or sell homes in a peaceful way.
Very well. You have mastered the art of social media. There's no denying that. I think anyone who maybe clicks on a property, their algorithm is probably then infiltrated by Ryan Serhant some way or another across social media. How important is the art of social media in this day and age, particularly for property agents across the world?
Something that I'll talk to the audience about today here at the Game Changers event with for us is the shift in followers to audience and audience to community. I think a lot of people just create social media content because they feel like they need to, but then they don't know what to do next. It's like running ads in a newspaper and then sitting there and saying, well, no one called. The door knocks on both sides. And so on social, you have the distinct ability to be able to knock on both sides of the door from the palm of your hand. And so social is incredible. I don't know another way to create market share if you're not doing it through social media today, to create brand awareness both passively and actively. And you just have to figure out how to take your follower base, whether it's one person 1 million people, and turn them into an audience that gets excited to see what you have to offer, and then activate that audience to create community collaboration. And then you can do things like this event, right? This event was created through social media, letting people know that this was happening, and you've got thousands of people who come together that went from followers to audience to community.
What would you say is the difference between selling a $100,000 property to $1 million property and beyond?
The money. There's more of it. I'm joking, but also not joking. Like the sell is relatively the same. We sell huge properties to families who need more space. They just have a bigger budget. The same way we sell, bigger properties to people that have smaller budgets. I'd say one clear difference, aside from level of trust and the advisors and the whole process, is the difference between a want and a need. Someone who's looking for something for $100,000, $500,000, even $1 million today, typically is moving because they need to move, because of a job, a baby, some kind of life event. They've outgrown their space. They need to move. They need to sell. Somebody who's looking 10, 20, 50, $100 million US, they're not homeless. They don't need to do anything. It's a pure want decision. And so our job is to then work with those people and help turn a want into a need.
And then specifically for a real estate agent here in Dubai, what advice would you give them for selling 1 million dirham property in comparison to a 10 million dirham property? What advice would you be giving an agent here?
If I'm an agent in Dubai, I'm doing exactly what I did 10 years ago, which is every other agent around me is spending all of their time trying to get to the client, the buyer, the seller. They're trying to reach that person on social. They're trying to reach that person through networking, the actual person with the actual money, which, sure, you can get lucky. But what I did was I said, that person probably already has a real estate agent. They don't need me. And who am I? No one knows me. So I'm going to go to the circle of trust. Right? What is that sphere of influence? What are those 6 layers outside of that buyer that actually could use my services? Who are those attorneys, bankers, interior designers, contractors, staging companies, publicists, et cetera, who I can reach out to, who I could say, listen, I will have clients for you. You'll probably have clients for me. This is a win-win. And then those people will connect you to the clients through a warm circle of trust. If I'm here and I'm in Dubai and I'm an agent, I'm doing that through social. I'm doing that through DM. I'm doing that through podcasting. I'm doing that through newsletters. I'm doing that through events just like this. What do you think this event is? Right? This event is a network effect in real time.
What's the most expensive property you've sold?
Single property, so single family house is $133,880,000 US. But we do multi-billion-dollar sellouts. Like we're handling Mercedes-Benz in Miami right now. That's a $2.5 billion US sellout. We will do like $4 billion in sales this year, dollars.
The Succession apartment, did that sell? Is it gone?
I met the developer in that apartment at the end of Owning Manhattan on Netflix. We just listed it finally because we had to put it together a week ago for $35 million. So I don't know, I got to check my phone. Maybe it's sold.
Things like that, when you've got the Succession apartment there and you've got this incredibly famous show that's done so well. Does it make it easier to sell those properties, or actually is it more difficult?
I don't think it's more difficult. I think it makes it a little bit easier because it creates added exposure. If I didn't have a TV show and if that apartment was not on TV, then I'm just a hardworking real estate agent with a big expensive apartment and hopefully it's priced right. But I have massive exposure worldwide to people that might not know that they even want to buy that apartment. And then that apartment has some notoriety, some provenance, like a piece of art. And so it creates, I think, added awareness that other people wouldn't be able to provide.
Final few questions, if I may. Do you have a place out here in Dubai?
Not yet.
Would you buy a place out here in Dubai?
I don't know. I don't think I think for investment, absolutely. For use, I'm not here enough. It's far.
It's nice, though.
It's nice. It's warm. Come here, get a tan all the time. Yeah. And everything is real estate here. The billboards, it's all real estate.
And if you were to buy, where would you buy?
Where would I buy? Anywhere Firas Al Masadi sells me.
Well, yeah, that's your go-to guy.
Yeah.
And finally, you are disgustingly busy. do you ever get any downtime whatsoever? Do you ever get any time to be at home with the family and enjoy life a little bit? Even though I'm sure you say you enjoy it in your work and everything you do, but away from that.
When I'm in New York on the weekends, a Saturday is Dadder Day. And so that's, I have a daughter and she's 5. And so we'll spend Saturdays together. Although those days feel like work sometimes. Playtime is heavy. So no, I don't get a whole lot of, there's like not a whole lot of sitting on the couch watching TV for me. I mean, but the goal is that I sacrifice a lot today so that tomorrow I can have a life where I can lounge and do whatever I want.
What if the Succession apartment sells on a Dadder Day? Then what?
I bring the kid. Yeah, she gets to come with Dad to work. Yeah, she'll live.